Last week, I told you to tell patients exactly what they need and then cheerfully give them exactly what they want. It's a great quote, right? It just rolls off the tongue. It's fun to say. Unfortunately, some of you don't even realize that you're not even coming close to giving patients what they want. It all comes in the tone of your presentation. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee with Dr. Scott. Happy Thursday to you. So today we are talking about referral mastery, as we do every Thursday, and it has come to the point of talking about control. So we worked on cost, we worked on convenience or hyperconvenience, also hypercapacity, and then today we're talking about control, which goes along with what we talk about every Wednesday, right? Perfect case acceptance. Perfect case acceptance is all about that balance. And when I set up these to work on these every Wednesday and Thursday, I didn't realize how much they'd been intertwined as we got here. So we've been talking a lot about that balance, but today in referrals, we're going to talk about it. Last week, I told you to tell patients exactly what they want, tell patients exactly what they need, then cheerfully give them exactly what they want in the perfect case acceptance side of this. But today it comes into referral mastery as well. So that motto helps you to get the patient to say yes to their care. But today we're going to talk about how it helps you to referralize your practice. And we do need to look at it from both sides. If you can imagine what I would consider well, before we even get into that, let's see. There's a question of the day, which is it's GIF Thursday. We like to do GIFs on Thursday. So what's your favorite GIF theme? I'm sorry, your favorite strong GIF. So it might be, is your coffee too strong or something of that nature. But put a GIF in the comments that has to do with the word strong. I think that's what we're going for today in the question of the day. Also, while we're here, I put a comment I put a link in the comments down below for a new coaching program that I put together. It's designed very, very short term just to help chiropractors get through these next 6, 8, 12 weeks of your practice recovering. Rallying, as I call it, from the old baseball terminology. So it's rally coaching. It's designed to just be very aggressive in these next 8 to 12 weeks to get your practice back up to where it was before COVID, and then also to continue taking off after that. So again, it's just a short-term coaching program that I wouldn't say people have requested the program. The contacts that I've been getting from people and knowing where they're at, this is the program that fits most of that. So it's just it's not about overall growth. It's really from recovering from this situation. So there's going to be a lot of the same stuff that was in the Chiropractic Business Survival Guide, if you got that, as far as getting back in touch with your patients, the things that you need to do. And for those of you who don't know, back when I first started consulting, I was pretty much a fix-it kind of guy. Like I just got called into really, really bad situations. People that their practice was declining because of a divorce or a bankruptcy or legal issues, all kinds of really, really bad things, and I helped to turn those practice around. So much that I actually, my first course that I ever created was called How to Fix a Struggling Practice. So all of that applies to what's going on right now. Even though you didn't create this problem, a lot of us are still in that situation. So I'm going to help you all come back out of that and to do it quickly. So if you're interested in the rally coaching, it's a very, very low weekly fee. I think it's going to be super fun. You really can't go wrong. It's week by week. You won't get stuck in a coaching program you don't want to be in. Use it for as long as you want to. Cancel whenever you like. So there's my sales pitch for the day. Getting into referrals, and again, being balanced. We've got to look at this problem from both sides. So if you imagine what I would consider a referralized case presentation, that continuum that I always talk about, the ideal case presentation is going to fall right in the middle, right? As Goldilocks would say, right in the middle, just right. On one side, you're way too strong, leaving the patient feeling pushed and pursued. You're overwhelming the patient. On the other side, you're underwhelming the patient, leaving the patient feeling confused and underwhelmed, and the fact that they're just not getting what they want out of you. So let's start on the strong side. And this is where someone's losing referrals because their case presentation is too strong. And this problem is actually one of the most difficult to spot because patients nod and smile at you and you think you're getting great conversion, but weeks down the line, these patients are gone. Your staff can tell you where that happens. Very often when I go into an on-site and I ask a staff member, at what point do you have to start calling the patient to find out why they missed their appointment. Do they start ignoring you? And staff can tell me to the number. It's visit 4. It's visit 8. Meanwhile, you think you presented a larger case to somebody. You think they accepted it, but sooner or later they start to fade off because your presentation is too strong. They nod, they get what they want out of this, and then they're gone. So I talk about this like in my course, I use the concept of the World War II Enigma code, if you're familiar with it. If not, Google it, where they really had a tough time breaking this code, and they used the Enigma machine. And the problem with it was there was too many variables. And I think patients are very much like that. There's too many variables for you to solve to find out whether you're doing the right thing or not. So you need to look for these small clues that will give you just enough information to reduce those number of variables between you being too strong and too weak. I actually have a form, which I don't know why I didn't pull out today, but if you want it, put Enigma in the comments down below. I just made that up. But I actually have it's like a report card for your staff to do on you, the doctor, which allows them to tell you what they feel the patients are getting, whether you're too strong or too weak in that presentation. It's a really, really good report card. It's something that we had our staff do on our doctors every quarter, just to kind of work with them and figure out where those doctors needed to improve in order to get perfect case acceptance, but also more referrals in their practice. So we want you to have that, be able to break that code for patients and be able to figure out where you are and where you're not just right. So telling patients exactly what they need, cheerfully giving them exactly what they want. I need you to imagine that you're probably having one of these two problems. You're either too strong or you're too weak. And they both represent a major problem to referrals in your practice. Again, that strong side, there's a number of ways for you to sabotage the treatment plan. Patients come into the office, as I've always said, hoping to refer to you. So it's when they encounter something negative that really changes all of that. So for somebody that's too strong, you making those overwhelming recommendations, that's what I call pushing past reasonable. You still tell them exactly what they need, because again, in my opinion, doing anything less is a disservice to them. So it's not what you say, it's how you say them. It's how you say it that's going to leave them impressed or overwhelmed. And you're balancing a fine line there. The real problem that leads to overwhelm is the patient expectation. That is their treatment expectation. When you tell them that the treatment's going to cost thousands of dollars more than what they expected, that's when serious overwhelm occurs. And you've got to be able to temper that by allowing them to get what they need, or what they want. If you watched yesterday's show, I gave you a few scripts to help you preempt those issues so you can still tell them what they need without overwhelming them because you've softened it beforehand. And the counterintuitive part of that is typically people hear that, are still overwhelmed by the number, but they actually go along with it because we've softened it in the first place. So in order to take the overwhelm out of the presentation, you're going to have to take a few steps back and get ahead of the patient. Since you can't ethically, in my opinion, reduce your recommendations, you've got to tell them what they need. You're going to have to work to influence their patient's expectation of need, and you do that beforehand. So that's the essence of the value principle that we introduced at the beginning of Referral Mastery. We talked about value and validity, and that's how you get more referrals. And if you recall the definition of value, it's that patients are left with a perception that purchasing care from you will actually cost, not purchasing care from you will actually cost more than it would be to just receive your care. When they can realize that the value you provide is better than them not getting care, saving the money, what might happen to them later, that's when you've mastered value. On the other side of the continuum, we talk about doctors who are too weak. And I actually talked to a doctor yesterday who's in that category, who's in that situation. And a big part of what he was saying to me, because I told him to kind of pay attention to the patient's response. And he's like, I don't feel like I'm getting any different response at all. Now that he's gone from a very, very weak presentation to a more balanced presentation, his claim was, I never got rejected in the first place. And I'm like, exactly. That's part of the problem in a too-weak presentation. Patients say yes to you because you're underwhelming them. You're not giving them anything that's going to help them long term or really that's going to help your business either. And again, the thought shouldn't be about the business, it should be the service of the patient. But when you're giving too small of a recommendation or too underwhelming of a recommendation, no one's going to reject you for that. So our goal there is not just to not get rejection, it is to get more visits at the end of the line, again, for the patient, also helps the business. But if we start making a more balanced recommendation, so it's higher, it has the potential to overwhelm a patient, and we can still do it in a way that doesn't, but it moves them a step along the patient healthcare continuum, then we've done our job. But the goal here is not just to not get rejected. If that was the goal, then yes, all of you who are too weak in your case presentation would be doing a great job. But that's not the goal. Them just not rejecting you, getting a couple visits, going on their merry way, and then having to go back to the pain basement to get more to learn on their own and come back into your office is not what we're looking for here. You want to be able to move them at least one step by telling them what the big picture is, giving them your best recommendation, allowing them to make their decision, but again, not just giving them that tiny, let's just get started, a couple visits, see how it goes type of recommendation, but giving them the full care, whatever that means for you, and moving them a few steps along. So if instead of getting 3 visits, they get 7 visits, you've done your job. It doesn't mean that everybody has to get your full recommendation, again, whatever that might be. So that for referrals is really the key here, is finding that balance where you are not too weak. I think I did it the other way. Not too strong, not too weak. You're right in the middle, like I said, with the Goldilocks concept. And that balance allows the patient to do what they wanted to do when they came into your office in the first place. And that is refer all their friends and family. By giving them what they want, they can take that mindset they have of wanting to tell everybody about this best chiropractor. If you can impress them without overwhelming them, you'll get a ton more referrals. As I talked about last week with the control thing, if it's just an additional 2 or 3 referrals per month, that has the potential to make a significant difference in your practice. So referralize your case presentation. And I know we talk about case presentation on Wednesdays, but for referral mastery, you've got to think about what it's going to take. When you're developing your systems, what is it going to take to come right across the middle? And again, if you want that form, put Enigma in the comments down below. I'll email you, somehow get you that report card where your staff can grade you, tell you where you're at on that so you can start working on yourself and start to balance that presentation. Also in the comments down below, give me a GIF, something to do with strong. And in the comments down below, I have put a link to the Rally Coaching, which I'm really excited about, which is going to, for those of you still sticking around, kind of take over what I'm doing here on Coffee with Dr. Scott. I feel like it's time to rally. I feel like we're time to get back to work. So I'm going to get back to work as well, which means we've been going daily here for 8 weeks now, trying to help you get through all this stuff with Coffee with Dr. Scott. I'm going to take next week off and kind of figure out where I want to go with Coffee with Dr. Scott as well as with the Rally Coaching. I'm really going to focus on helping the people in that coaching program to get through this thing. So again, for me, it's get back to work time. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. But like I said, I'm going to take the week off with Coffee with Dr. Scott, kind of figure out where we're going from there. Which means I'm leaving the last 3 referral essence components hanging here, but I'm happy to share with you many other times. Like I said, reach out to me, join Rally Coaching. I'll look forward to seeing you soon, but next week, I'm going to be a little quiet. Talk to y'all next week. Talk to y'all soon.